Hi everyone, welcome to MS Learn Online. I'm Kate Milliken, your host for the first program in a special three-part series, Healthy Living with MS, featuring Clay Walker.
Rumor has it, you love me too.
Clay Walker stepped into the national spotlight in 1993 with his #1 country hit, What's It to You? Since then, he's had 31 singles on Billboard's country charts, 11 of them #1. He's had 4 platinum and 2 gold albums and has consistently been one of the busiest artists on the road. In 1996, he was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis. Despite his incredibly busy schedule, Clay's been an active participant in the MS movement. In 2003, he created Band Against MS, a nonprofit organization committed to providing educational information and funding research programs and services to help those living with the disease.
Oh my gosh! Oh my God.
To date, Band Against MS has raised more than $2 million. We're thrilled to have Clay back for a second MS Learn Online special in which he'll share his own personal experience about living well with MS. Okay. When I first learned that I had MS, I decided that I wanted to do everything I could do to keep MS from taking charge of my life. I did a ton of research, I asked my doctors lots of questions, and I took advantage of many of the resources that are available through the National MS Society. But I also get plenty of information and inspiration from people who are living incredibly full and rewarding lives, despite their MS. And Clay Walker is a great example. Through his everyday actions and attitude, he has made adjustments that have helped him keep MS off center stage in his life. In this series, we'll focus on 3 topics and ways we can all make adjustments to live healthier and happier lives with MS. Taking care of our physical health, maintaining our emotional health, and how to manage MS while maintaining balance in our daily lives. Also joining us in our discussion is Dr. Rosalind Kolb, a clinical psychologist and the Vice President for the National MS Society's Professional Resource Center. I'd like to extend a special welcome to members of our studio audience here today with us in Houston. Thank you. I'd also like to thank all of you who have sent in questions to help get this webcast off to an exciting start, as well as everyone who has logged on to learn more about MS. Let's begin by looking at the ways we can all maintain our physical health despite having MS. Here's a quote from somebody who knows something about staying healthy with MS. Former ski champion and proactive MS advocate, Jimmy Huga. Quote, I am dedicated to maintaining my overall health, so I'll be ready for a cure when it happens, but also because it helps me live the best life possible with MS. Someone else who knows about living the best life possible with MS is Clay Walker. Let's see what he does to stay physically healthy.
I believe you have to take care of your body, and I think you have to have a very good outlook and a good attitude towards it. I try to ride bikes, as well as ride horses, cutting horses, and play golf. I try a little bit of everything. I'll try yoga for the stretching part of it. It's very fun. My family laughs at me, but it's a lot of fun to do, and I feel better when I get done. Once I had MS, I think I wanted to do more physical activity than before I was diagnosed, and felt like all of those physical activities only help strengthen me.
So, Dr. Carl, talk to us about the importance of physical fitness and staying active with MS.
I think that all of us need to stay physically active and in good shape because we all feel better. But when a person has MS and is dealing with all of the symptoms that MS can cause, particularly that fatigue that can be so draining and difficult, staying physically fit helps you be in the best possible shape to deal with that. You feel stronger, you feel more in charge, and it helps you stay on top of things. So I think it's just incredibly important to stay in good shape because you can be healthy even if you're living with something like MS.
Clay, besides rocking the charts, tell me about what you do to stay active.
Cheeseburgers. Oh man, yeah. I'm an active person. I always have been. I think I'm probably in better physical shape right now than I was before I was diagnosed with MS. And I'm not crazy over the top about exercising. I do a little bit of it, but I do stay active. And on the road with the band, I'll play basketball, and we ride those road bikes like Lance Armstrong and wear the tight breeches. And I ride cutting horses and play a little bit of golf from time to time. I really just have fun. I don't look at working out as working. I try to get in the garden, at home, do the yard, do things that just keep me moving, and it's more fun that way. It's not like, okay, I got to have a regimen. So maintain a pretty good diet. I'm not over the top about that either. I'm just kind of, I'm more aware than I was before I was diagnosed with MS. Let me say that.
Do you feel that in light of your exercise regimen when you didn't have MS, has it altered as a result of having MS?
Before I had MS, I spent a lot of time in athletics. All through high school, I played football, but after being diagnosed with MS, I did start looking at it as something that was necessarily good for me, and enjoying the results of it. So, when I first started working out after being diagnosed with MS, I had some right leg weakness, which made my gait a little uneven if I would run on the treadmill. So I was embarrassed to go into a public facility and do some of these things. Now, so I started walking privately, then jogging a little bit, kind of a run jog thing. And then I built up to where I could jog 3 miles without stopping. And I noticed that doing this, or riding a bike especially, increased the strength in my hip flexor in my right leg, and also increased my range of motion, where now I look normal when I'm walking.
Dr. Cobb, from your perspective, talk to me about diets.
You need to pick a healthy regimen that you enjoy and is realistic and that you can maintain. The diet that we recommend for people with MS is the same low-fat, high-fiber diet that's recommended for everybody in the population to maintain your weight and your healthy heart. There are some supplements out there that people with MS want to try. There's some evidence, for example, for the omega-3 and omega-6 fatty acids, that they may help people with MS. We know there's a lot in the literature these days about vitamin D and how we all need that for bone health. And it may also be helpful in MS. The problem is that we don't have exact data to tell us how much of anything is good or safe or effective. So my general recommendation is to stay with that balanced diet, and if people want to try supplements of any kind, just to be sure they discuss it with their physicians ahead of time, because some of these can interact with your immune system or with other medications that you're taking in ways that may not be good for you, so it's always good to check it out.
Right. Dr. Cobb, to go back to the physician comment that you made, in the most recent issue of Momentum magazine, a survey indicated that 67% of their readers saw their primary care physician more than once a year. So how important is it for people with MS to continue to go to their primary care physician?
I actually think it's incredibly important, because the neurologist who's treating the MS is really focused on MS care. That's his or her expertise, and in that relatively short doctor visit that we're all familiar with these days, there simply isn't time for the MS doctor to focus on all the other aspects of health. And while somebody who has MS may feel like that's more than enough for any one person to handle, the fact is having MS doesn't protect people from the other things that all of us get, like heart disease or cancer or stroke. And so it's important to check in with that family doctor, general practitioner once a year to make sure you're getting the preventive health care that you need and all the tests that are appropriate for your age. So I really advocate that people maintain that solid relationship.
Let's go to the studio audience for Suzanne. Suzanne, you have a question. Hi.
I know that you were playing in a golf tournament and everything, and when you work out, are you heat sensitive?
Not at all. As a matter of fact, I'm cold sensitive. But in the heat is where I perform the best. It's the craziest thing.
So what happens to you in cold?
I'll get a little stiff. you know, and my muscles feel stiff, and so before I start walking, I have to stretch a little bit, and then I take off walking just fine.
So when you're on stage then performing,
Oh, that's my best.
I was going to say, then you don't have to try to figure out a way to lean on something or sit on a stool or anything.
No, you know, it seems like I actually have better physical ability and more range of motion when I walk off of stage than I do walking on stage. And it's, you know, hot showers, I love them. Cold is exactly opposite for me. But I guess that's why MS is so special, is because it does affect a lot of us in different ways. But I've heard from most people that heat affects them drastically.
I love the fact that you called MS special. That was great.
Well, it is.
No, we're going to go to Fran. We're going to go to Fran in the studio audience. That's not even, I've just never heard MS described like that. It made me feel very special.
I thank you for all your efforts that you're doing for us. It's really, really special. Are there any types of food that are actually more beneficial, that can improve your cognitive ability? I know you addressed the omega-3, but is there anything into your diet you may introduce that might help that as well?
I don't think that we know of anything that can improve cognition. I think that may be a very personal thing for you. Certainly, we like diets that are have a lot of fish in them and then have the omega-3 fatty acids, but I don't think we have an answer yet to brain food, which we all need, but I don't think we know what it is yet.
I'm also riding in the MS 150 this year, and I also did it 3 years ago, which was like 35 years since the last time I had been on a bike. But I'm going to ride on a tandem, and I'm so delighted. I mean, hopefully that will.
Did you
cross
say
paths.
35 years ago?
Yeah.
Wow.
And now I'm back on a bike.
Good for you. Congratulations.
So anyway.
Dr. Cobb,
So again, don't limit yourself, and I really appreciate your saying that, because we can do more than we think we can, and
Yes.
with people to help us, we can do a lot.
I agree with you. I agree with you.
Thank you.
Dr. Cobb, can you summarize some tips that you might have or suggestions in terms of maintaining good health for the audience?
I think for all of us, with or without MS, we really want to try to maximize our health with a healthy diet, exercise that's enjoyable and fun, activities that are meaningful, paying attention to our mood, because mood can really be affected in MS, and so we need to make sure that we pay attention to that and take good care of that emotional part of ourselves as well. There are not a lot of boundaries around you that you can't explore and test and push by tapping the resources, talking to your doctor, getting educated, and doing all the things you can to eat right, exercise, and manage your stresses.
And seeking inspiration. We have 2 more programs in our special series with Clay Walker. In our future programs, we'll talk about emotional health and fitting MS into our daily lives. We want to thank Clay Walker for taking the time to talk to us today, and Dr. Rosalind Cobb for sharing her thoughts and expertise. And thanks to our fantastic studio audience and to all of you who emailed your questions. And finally, a special thanks goes to Teva Neuroscience for their charitable contribution, which has made this special presentation of MS Learn Online possible. Now make sure you check out parts 2 and 3 of our special Learn Online series with Clay Walker. Just click on the program titles to the right of your screen. We'll see you then.